Lara Croft returns to the big screen after 15 years. Is this worth your time or an unnecessary remake? Stay tuned for our review to find out.
I'm John Hanlon.
And I'm Michael Wallmann.
And today we're reviewing the new Tomb Raider, which comes out 15 years after the previous installment. Adapted from a video game, the feature focuses on Lara Croft, who in this film is looking for her long-lost father.
You can pick up where he left off. I see so much of him in you.
She's played by Alicia Vikander. Now, originally there was a Tomb Raider film in 2001 and then one in 2003. So first of all, why don't you compare the both of the films?
So I saw the remake first yesterday, and today I went back and I watched the original Tomb Raider. And first off, I noticed that the original Tomb Raider is definitely a lot more action-packed. It's a lot more of a video game style since it did originate from a video game, Tomb Raider, the concept. There's definitely a lot more like action music, like you have guitars going between action scenes, so it's definitely like they build up the energy, as opposed to the newer remake is definitely more of an origin story where you see a lot more of a vulnerable Croft character as she comes to terms with her new identity through her father's past.
Yeah, this is definitely an origin story. And what I liked is in the first scenes, you see her as like a bike delivery person, and there are action scenes of her on the bicycle. So you're seeing it starting out as a future action star just on the streets of, I believe that it was filmed in London.
Yeah, so what's really cool with this story is you really get to see her coming into this confident character. Because in the original Tomb Raiders, Angelina Jolie, she is already a very confident Lara Croft, and she is finely tuned in her skills, as opposed to this new remake where you see her in a very budding stage of her skills and is not even accustomed yet to the violence that is to come.
Yeah, and those early action scenes, they're very gritty and realistic as compared to the original films, which had a lot of more video game kind of sequences.
Exactly. Because especially too in the original, there's a lot of like little cutscenes where you see her with her two signature guns, and like you see her like reloading. It's like, and then she goes into like her next thing, and like you see like the action look at the next spot, and then like something explodes. As opposed to this one, it's a lot more of a kind of a dramatic version of the action film. It's a lot more, I think you put it as grounded when we were talking before, where it's like you're really seeing her coming from the ground up and really growing into this strong character.
Yeah, so that when she gets on her mission to find her father, you can see how she performs in action sequences. You can see how she avoids the bad guys because she's been avoiding vehicles for years as a food delivery person. And so you kind of see the beginnings, and then you see how it translates into action sequences where there are actually guns around her and she's being chased for her life.
And you see too, at the beginning, she isn't accustomed to more of the violent aspects of, like, for example, killing a person.
Yeah.
So you really get to see her in this adolescent kind of version of herself.
So Alicia Vikander, I think, does a really great job. There are other side characters who are a little lacking, including the villain, who's played by Walton Goggins. He seemed like a very bland villain to go against our hero.
It was something too, like, one thing I saw is there was like that lack of passion, where obviously the Lara Croft character has a lot of passion for what she's doing, where this villain didn't really have as much of a drive.
And so when you get to later scenes with her facing off against him, there's a little bit of a disappointment. Like, in fact, when they actually raid the tomb, you keep comparing it in your mind to like Raiders of the Lost Ark. And so there's kind of a disappointment that this doesn't add much when it comes to like the big climactic scenes to the genre.
Yeah, it kind of felt like it was a reused kind of plot archetyped that it just didn't really see, it didn't create any new boundaries. It didn't push anything new for your action discovery sort of movie, which was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, and so that's the disappointment. You go in there, you see all these unique scenes of her on the bike, her being chased by a couple of guys, and even there's a great airplane sequence. But in the third section of the film, there's kind of disappointment that they don't do anything more unique with it. It's kind of like they settle into a routine.
Yeah, kind of like tomb discovery sort of a thing.
Yeah.
I will say there is a pretty cool plot twist at the end where you really start discovering the magic behind the Dark Queen is what you're gonna learn of her as. And that I thought was really interesting because that was a new kind of play on the tomb archetype, I will say that.
So they're setting it up for a series, and I think there's a lot of great room for them to go. I was just disappointed in the third act here. So overall, I would recommend it. Alicia Vikander gives a lot to the performance.
Yeah.
And I really liked a lot of the early action scenes, but at the end I was a bit disappointed. So I would probably give this film a B-.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd have to go with more of a B. Just because I liked it as the personal growth story. I saw this more as a adventure drama as opposed to like an action thriller, like more of the earlier versions of Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
But still, this is it's definitely worth seeing because it's so cool seeing this character grow into this confident person that she becomes.
Thanks for watching our video. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and check us out on social media.
Links in description.
You shouldn't have come here. But I'm glad that you did.